Next one. What's your why? Okay, that's kind of cliche. Lots of people are saying, oh, what's your why? What's your why? But listen to those words. What's your why? Why do you do the things you do? Because lots of times we get so caught up in doing that we forget about why we're doing it. And, you know, I went through a time in my life, Shelly's husband Merv was a big part of that because he had to bring me back on track. But I was trying to do everything. I was kind of like that psycho woman who was trying to do everything and do everything well. And then my body crashed and said, enough. That's stupid. I was trying to impress people. I was trying to impress my husband. But I would blame my husband. I would blame my kids. You guys don't do this. You never do this. You never do that. That wasn't true. They were doing everything I had asked them to do, but because I had set these outrageous plans, and outrageous expectations and desires in myself, we weren't accomplishing anything. So, what's your why? Next one.
Oh, there.
Okay, so setting goals, having a vision, and having a mission statement. Now, this sounds like something you would do for a school or an organization, but I want to tell you something really interesting. Just over 5 years ago, my husband was involved in a training course in Calgary. He's one of the managers at Husky, and he was doing this course on setting your values, your goals, and your mission statement. So on our way home from that trip, we wrote out all of our goals as a family, our vision, our dreams, and visions, and all that kind of stuff. Tucked it away. And this spring, I got on a new kick. Brian, we need to set out our goals. We need to do our visions and our dreams, blah, blah, blah. So we went to Tim Hortons one Saturday morning, pen, paper, Bible, all of our resources, and we started writing these out. He's like, hey, well, I'll go type this up at work. So he came home at lunchtime, and he's like, Denise, look at this. And he pulled out that document from 5 years ago. And we went through it, and oh, there we go, there's no echo, thank you. And I went, tears trickling down my face. Even though we had tucked it away and forgot about it, guess what? Everything that we had written on that sheet for what we wanted to accomplish, what we wanted to do, how we wanted to raise our kids, we were on track. And our most of those goals were accomplished. But there was 2 areas that we did not include. One was our finances, and one was our physical fitness. Guess what 2 areas in our life Brian and I have not been successful at? Our finances and our own personal physical fitness. Do you see how important it is to have a dream, God puts those desires in our heart. That's what the Word tells us. So when we have those desires in our heart, we write them down, we speak them out, they will come to be. Even though we forgot about them for those 4.5 years, they happened. Okay, next one. Next slide, girls.
Sorry.
Train a child in a way that they should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22, verse 6. So, I've heard people say, oh, we go to church sometimes, and yeah, we've trained our child, they've got those scriptures in their heart, and, some people of teenagers are like, I don't understand why this is happening, I don't understand why they're straying, or other people are, oh, I don't understand what's going on. Well, we need to train our child in a way that they should go so when they get older they won't depart from it. But we also have to be those people who continue to do it. It's not like, we could make those goals and visions and dreams 5 years ago and then sit and do nothing or do the exact opposite. You have to live it out. You have to walk it out. I can't say, oh, I told Caden, Jesus loves you, and I read him a few stories as a little boy, and then expect that he's going to have a deep, intimate relationship with the Lord as a teenager. That's not going to do it. It's not going to cut it. I have to foster that. I have to encourage it. He has to watch me doing it myself. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a lifelong progression. The Word says that we're supposed to speak about the Lord every day as we're walking, as we're singing, as we're working. All right? Next one. I'm just going to do this so that. Okay. So, way back when my kids were little now, imagine I had Mackenzie, who is, grade 7, 8, 9. We were building a house on an acreage. I had Caden, who was like crazy, insane, busy all the time. 4, McKenna was 3, and Keeson was 1. And my kids were so busy. McKenna and Keeson were amazing babies. Caden didn't sleep very much. He had all these allergies going on and asthma and all that sort of thing that God healed him of, by the way. So needless to say, I didn't have a lot of sleep. But I praise God because I had a lady in my life who gave me this book to read of rules to establish in your home. And they were respect, ask, order. And so I adapted those as ours. Now, I hope as I'm going through these slides that you ladies can just pick nuggets or tidbits out for yourselves. But this one was wild. So we added love people. Because it's easy to judge people. It's easy to say that you like people, but you really have to find a place in your heart to love people. Otherwise, getting through this world is a difficult place to be. So number 1, the Steinke family, we love people. Number 2, in my home, we show respect. We show respect for other people, we show respect for each other, and we show respect for things. So, is it okay to smash a drum over your brother's head? Absolutely not. It's disrespectful, and you're not respecting the drum. That's a possession that we've paid money for. There's a cost to that. Okay, do you see what I mean? Ask. Well, before you do anything, you ask. Before you eat anything, you ask. Before you go anywhere, you ask. Before you enter somebody's room, you ask. And that's a blanket term, but ask, respect, order. 3 words, but they're very powerful. Order. Number 1, we do everything in order. I like to get 50 things on the go at once and then run around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be and then fly off the handle when somebody interferes. Anybody relate? Okay, so order. I need to do things in the right order. The kids need to do things in the right order. And we need to keep things in order. So I like to be organized and I like things to be neat and clean. Most of the time, my children, with the exception of McKenna, don't like to keep things in order. They like to just use something and drop it. We've called Keeson our drop and go boy, which he doesn't like. But, he picks something up, drops, runs on to the next thing, drop, and, by the end of the day, if I've got 6 people in the house doing that, there's no order, there's chaos, and everything's a mess, and I'm not happy. So that is a real critical one for myself. Next one. All right, I want to talk to you as well about the importance of consistency and a routine. So I said earlier that it's important at my house that you ask before you eat. You think, wow, Denise, you're pretty legalistic. Yeah, maybe I am, but 6 people in my house. So, can you have a cookie before supper? Can you just walk and grab a snack? No, you can't. I'm very consistent in that. If we're eating at 5 or 5:30, I'm not really consistent in the time we eat because it's very important to both Brian and I that we eat together as a family. And with 3 different kids and different activities, We try to make our mealtime work. Some nights it's 5, some nights it's 7. But that being said, if we're going to eat, the kids aren't allowed to have a snack right before them. Okay, I'm using that as an example. So consistency in our bedtime routine. Our bedtime routine is always the same, unless we come home at midnight or something. But always, they have a quick snack, they brush their teeth, go to the bathroom, get pajamas on, crawl into bed. We do a little devotional with each of them, pray with them. Sometimes they get a little bit of a back rub, and that's it. Then we go out. And so it's consistency. They know what to expect. When I had my babies, I read this book. Shauna Sturge, a good friend of mine, told me about baby wives. I don't know if anybody's heard it, read it. For me, I needed that. It taught me how to be a mom. Mackenzie threw up, projectile vomiting, screamed, cried, and I was awake with her for 2 years. And I said when I had Caden, McKinnon, and Keeson, I was not doing it again. I was like 10 years older, and I knew that I needed my sleep, and Brian, he needs his sleep. So I did teach my kids how to do that, and the baby-wise routine is all about structure and order so that children always know what to expect. My kids, they woke up, I nursed them, they had playtime where they kicked and played and whatever, and then I swaddled them up, put them in the crib so they learned how to fall asleep without me rocking them. That was just what worked for me. If you rock your children to sleep, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's what worked for me, and I was consistent in that. Okay? Routine. My kids, I was going to have them explain this, but right now, as a homeschooling mom, it's easy to stay in your pajamas all day. It's easy for it to be 12 o'clock and go, oh my goodness, what did we do? We didn't do anything. So I had to establish a routine. Now, whether you send your children to school in 2 years or 5 years, or you have children in school right now, routine is key. So we wake up at the same time. My kids wake up at 7, sometimes 10 to 7, whatever. First thing is they make their bed. Now, that same lady that told me about the ask, order, respect, she told me back then, Denise, it's critical that you get your kids to make their beds. Number one, a bed in a bedroom takes up the most square footage. So if a bed is made, that room already looks 90 or 80% cleaner than if the bed is unmade. Plus, it's establishing a routine. Now, and over the summer, I have had the opportunity, God has just brought so many neat people into my life. And I've heard a lot and studied a lot about the benefits of having a morning routine. And they talk about making your bed as number one. On the way to Toronto on a flight in June, I met this amazing man named Eric Robb. And he's with the Canadian military. He's like the top 5% of the top 5%. And he talked to me about his morning routine. He wakes up every morning, has a big glass of water, makes his bed, sits on the edge of his bed, and gives thanks for 5 things. Then he stands in the mirror and says, today I'm going to be 1% better than I was yesterday. And in 100 days, you're 100% better than you were 100 days prior. So I adapted all of that. And then I started watching all of these TED Talks and YouTube videos. Making your bed is critical. And I say to my kids, oh, why do we have to make our bed? I don't want to make our bed. I'm like, okay, think about it. If your bed is open and you've been outside playing and you get bugs on you, or you've been eating and you've got crumbs, those crumbs, those bugs end up in your bed. And then when you go to sleep, you get bugs in your sleep. Like, do you want a spider crawling over you? Like, think about it. It's gross. That changed their mind. So guess what? They make their bed every morning. Okay, then they brush their hair and brush their teeth. They get dressed, and my kids do their devotionals every morning. They see Brian and I doing our devotionals, and they do their devotionals. And then we eat breakfast together, and they all have a job to do in cleaning up. Now, Brian's way more structured and routine than I am, and he came up with this thing. He's like, okay, McKenna, you're in charge of always sweeping the floor. Everybody washes their plates up while they say thank you for the food. Can I please be excused from the table? They take their plate to the sink, rinse it off, and stick it in the dishwasher. Keeson's responsible for taking off any condiments or ketchup, salt, pepper, whatever. And then Caden and Brian do the dishes, and I put all the leftovers